headphones to share with ASMR before. I wonder how it'll be like. So I got someone who commented you should do relationship advice. Mind you, I've only been in one relationship, 5 years. I know. But ever since I was a kid, I had a lot to say about people's relationships. I was a nosy kid. I remember one of my mom's friends, her husband, and she would talk like, she would complain about him, and one day I was like, miss, her name, can I give you advice? Mind you, I was like 7. She's like, of course, sweetheart, what is it? I'm like, why don't you divorce him? She's like, she just laughed. So, it's tough to say, I was someone who's very, like, you gotta keep up your, not boundaries, well that is important, but what's it called? The words are escaping me. Like the bare minimum, those. And I'd always be like, these are like the bare minimums. And I hate to break it to you, but when you're in love, you really are blind sometimes. You really forgive. And I unconsciously lowered my standards to way worse than the minimum. And even when they were way worse than the minimum, they weren't being reached. And I was mourning my relationship, being in the relationship. I was the one who broke it off because I was like, this isn't going well. But it really did teach me a lot. So I'm going to tell you what it taught me. I bought this little eyeballs. I have this like idea that I'm going to like first, I don't know if it's just like to do it right now or to wait until December, but I want to give like little gift bags to like people who are nice to me. Anyways, here's my advice. My advice is never lose yourself in a relationship. It doesn't matter what, like if you're already in a relationship, always find yourself. Always be true to yourself. Do not compromise your standards. I'm going to give some very pessimistic advice and some very optimistic advice. Now, what I mean by pessimistic is like, no matter who you like are dating, always, this is going to be some advice towards women. I'm also going to give advice towards guys, but for women, always have your own bank account. Do not share, like, have like a separate, but always have your own bank account. Always stay working, even if he offers you to be like, oh, I'm going to take care of you. Okay, cool, whatever, but still work, because you never know. 10 years down the line, that man wakes up and he's like, you know what, I'm no longer in love with you, I'm not going to support you anymore, get out. And you haven't worked in 10 years. How are you going to get a job in your field? Keep working. If you're going to be a mom, go into it. And I know this is going to, like I said, pessimistic advice. Go into it being prepared to be a single mom, just in case. Be pregnant and have a kid because you want to have it, no matter the circumstances. Because again, unfortunately, you never know what can happen if your husband or boyfriend or whatever changes during the pregnancy, changes after the baby comes, and then, so, do not move to another country for a man, okay? I've seen TikToks, so many, of people moving to another country, uprooting their life, and then the guy just breaks up with them, like 2 days later. Crazy. So, don't do that. Move because you're also interested in that country. Move with the mindset that you can survive on your own by yourself in whatever country you're going to. So those are like the biggest pessimistic advice that I have for you. For guys, my advice is you need to make friendships. Okay? I've seen this TikTok going around where this guy is like confessing to his friend group. He literally, his breakup hurt him so much that he left the city and went to go moving with his parents, and his friends didn't even know her name. Her name. And they dated for like a year or more. You, as a dude, need a support system outside of your girlfriend. Because you never know if your girlfriend or boyfriend is going to stay there, is going to be there for you, have their own issues, whatever. You need something that is not just romantic. You need something that is friendship-wise. Like, find friends, make a community, and for there to be a community, you need to build it. So, you can't just share and share and share and not also listen. Another advice for men. You are allowed to feel uncomfortable. You are allowed to place boundaries. You're allowed to say no. And your no should be respected. Your boundaries should be respected. You shouldn't be pressured into anything you don't want to. Again, pessimistic advice. And another thing that I feel like this is for everyone. Don't be in a relationship just because you're afraid of being lonely. And I think that's the biggest advice, is learn to be by yourself. Learn to live by yourself. Learn to exist by yourself. Because you don't know. You don't know. Oh, look how pretty. You never know what the future holds. So why wait for someone else? Why wait your life? And here's like the most pessimistic advice, is you don't know when your partner, or when you're gonna date someone, or you're in a relationship. So don't wait, because you might be waiting for years. I like the color, it's very pretty. Okay, now to more optimistic advice. When you're dating someone, I feel like it's very important to, oh look how pretty, to be very, like, you know, people talk about the bits, like trying to find that emotional connection, and some partners just don't do that. Be aware of those little, tiny little bits that you have with your partner. Always make an effort. Always be communicative. So, like, if you're having a really bad day and you just need to disconnect, tell your partner, hey, I'm having a really bad day. I just kind of want to lay in bed. I just don't want to talk to anyone. I might be offline for like an hour, 2 hours, or I'll talk to you tomorrow. Because just to reassure that person, like, yeah, I'm here, I'm okay, it has nothing to do with you, just in case if your partner has a little bit relationship anxiety. But I don't think that sounds nice, but it's just being aware that there's another person coexisting with you. And I don't really believe that whole thing of like, I'm incomplete and the person makes me a whole. Like, no, you're both complete people. When you're put together, you're best friends, Like, you're not empty, or you're not enough because you don't have a relationship or you don't have a partner. I almost got that in my eye. I think also what's really important is learning what are those called, like, what, love language. That's bullshit. I don't believe in that. I genuinely don't believe in love language, because it's like, some people really take advantage of love language, and they like, it's how people like weaponize therapy talk. People weaponize the whole love language thing, and it's like, your partner is going to want different things than you sometimes. Sometimes maybe you're completely identical, but sometimes you're completely different. And it's just being aware of the other person. And for me, that was a really hard thing to do. And not just in a relationship, just like in friendships. And like relationships, like not romantic, just like family and friends. I had to learn to really actively, because to me, like, I'm gonna give you an example because it's probably easier to understand. For me, if like, let's say I was gonna go get a soda, get soda. And my mom was like, okay, cool. And I go, I get my soda, come back, and my mom was like, you didn't get me a soda? And I was like, oh, what? And you're probably thinking, what? Why didn't she just say it? Because people want to be thought about. People want to be like, I want them to remember that my favorite drink is, I don't know, Dr. Pepper. I want them to think of me and not me have to remind them. And I remember just being more conscious of asking my mom, do you also want a soda? And that was just my mom. And so I'm not saying in a relationship, it's just constantly asking, being like, oh my god, no. But it's being aware of that you are a unit now and you make decisions. My ex, hold on, my foot's asleep. I'm back. My foot is still asleep and it is very painful to move. What am I saying? Oh yeah, my ex. He made a decision to go to the army. He didn't go through with it, but he just told me like, oh yeah, I'm joining the army. And I was like, huh? And I remember telling him, I'm not telling you that you need to ask me for your choices, but I would love to be part of your choices in the sense of like, if you're thinking about it, I want to hear about it. You're discussing it to yourself. I want to hear about it, not you just springing these things on me like, by the way, I moved. By the way, I'm now in the army. By the way, I now live alone. By the way, actually, I moved back to my parents. And then I have to find this out because I coincidentally, like, it is crazy. So, just, again, it's a relationship is, it's like you're both walking on a plank, like a plank bridge, and one foot, your left foot, let's say, is on it, and then the other person's right foot. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Basically, you're balancing. It's a balancing act, right? Because you need to maintain your own autonomy and your independence, but you also have to be aware that you're coexisting with someone else. You're making a future with someone else, and it's hard, especially for people who aren't that, like, they have a hard time letting go. They're very like, this is mine, I'm not going to share. And here's the biggest advice. If you are going through things, and I don't mean like mentally, because, wait, let me pause what I was just going to say. I'm a firm believer that if you're having mental issues, you can get a partner. I had, my boyfriend and I started dating, my ex-boyfriend and I started dating, I was going through mental stuff. And you know what I did? I took responsibility, and I would say, hey, I'm really depressed right now. I cannot talk to you today. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, okay? And he'd be like, okay, cool, thanks for telling me. And I did that, not just with him, but my other friendships. I'd be like, hey girl, I'm really sorry, I can't talk to you because I'm burnt out, and I just can't do the mental thing of texting people and also studying because I cannot. And a mental illness, mental things, it's a reason, but it's not an excuse. You need to take responsibility as well. And I feel like that applies to everything. If you feel like you're not emotionally mature enough to be in a relationship, learn, grow. Like for my ex, I haven't talked to the guy, but I truly hope that what we had and how it ended helped him grow and be a better partner in the future. And the thing is, it did help me, that relationship, even though it ended. I feel like I learned a lot of who I am, what I want, and what I'm not willing to compromise. And it also helped me kind of like be very much like comfortable. I've been single now for like, I think 3 years, and I'm fine with it. I'm very comfortable with it. Like, if I continue to be single, it's also fine. And I think it's also really relaxing to be in a point in your life where a relationship is a plus, not a necessity. And I think a lot of people need to learn that, because I think a lot of people are afraid of being alone, and I see that so much. People who, and I'm not talking about just young people, I'm talking about people who have been in marriages for like 15 years, and the marriage is literally draining them. But they're like, well, I've already invested this much time, which is like, what do you mean? Are you forgetting that we literally live until we're like 70, 80, 90 years old? You've only been with this person for 10 years. You still have 60 years or 50 years of your life. And you're telling me you don't want to waste 10 versus the other 50? And here's the thing that I think is really important is there's so many men, women, and neither, just people in the world. You do not have to stay with someone who doesn't respect you, who doesn't listen to you. What I mean by listen is literally just, well, I don't know how I'm trying to explain listen, but it's like not in the sense of like, oh, I'm telling you to do this and do this. No, I'm telling it like, hey, that made me uncomfortable. And the person's like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm not gonna do that. Instead of, oh, but that's how you think. You do not need to be in a shitty relationship. You do not. There is plenty of people in the world. And like I said, going back to what I said, that is why it's so important to be comfortable by yourself. Because if you're comfortable by yourself, then you are in excellent capabilities of not wasting your time in a relationship and just breaking up with them. Because I extended my relationship by almost a year because I was convinced that we could salvage it. That even though these issues that I had brought up multiple times were not being fixed or addressed, I was like, again, because love truly blinds you sometimes. And I was like, I can fix it. We can fix this. We can fix this. If I lower my standards, lower, we can get there. Never happened. And so if I had that, what I now have, I would have saved myself a year of being in a relationship that I didn't need to be in. Because it wasn't going to change. And that's the thing. If you and your partner are constantly talking about the same thing, constantly the same issue, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. You need to break up. Now, here's my biggest advice. If you are dating someone and their mother does not like you, and your boyfriend or girlfriend cannot put a boundary, do not date them. Because here's the thing that people forget. You are stuck with that mother-in-law forever until she dies. Or you die. Because people forget that there's Christmas, holidays, birthdays, communions, bar mitzvahs, weddings. You will be interacting every single month probably with this woman. And you know what, mother-in-laws get a bad rap. Let's just say parent-in-law, because I haven't talked about it. I haven't heard about it, but there's probably demon father-in-laws out there too. So parents-in-laws, you will literally always be interacting, and if your partner is incapable of putting that boundary, your life is going to be literal hell, because you are going to be in a place where the parent, which usually is like the top dog in the family, because sometimes families are very hierarchy-ish, whatever it's called, and if they don't like you, and no one's defending you, and if your partner isn't defending you, you're going to hate your life, and you're going to end up hating your partner, instead of being like, you know what, personally for me, I'm talking about real life, if I was dating someone, and their mother-in-law hated my guts, I'd be like, we're breaking up. I'm not going to, I was never treated badly by my parents to be treated badly by another grown woman that I'm not even related to, that I don't even know. And I feel like some people get married thinking, oh, well, my mother-in-law, again, it's usually mother-in-laws, I don't know, it's a bad rep about mother-in-laws and not father-in-laws, but they usually are like, oh, well, it won't matter because we'll only see each other in the holidays. That is every year. And what happens when you have kids? Is your partner going to put boundaries when you have kids? Is your mother-in-law going to be there holding your leg when you're birthing? Or are they even going to allow you? Because it's like, oh, this is a woman's... Again, trying to give multiple perspectives here. But anyways, life is already complicated on its own. A lot of things that makes life complicated. A relationship shouldn't be one of them. It shouldn't. It should bring you happiness. Is a relationship has its difficulties or its moments? Of course, because again, life happens, hardship happens, death happens. Here's the thing, I think again, I say this, I'm saying this multiple times, like this is the most important thing, but there's a lot of important things. But this is one thing that I feel like people don't really think about, is that does your partner, because this is, again, real life, it's not all just mushy, oh, love, kisses, like, you know, it is, can that person be with you when one of your parents pass away? Can they be with you when economic hardship falls on you or both of you? Is that person going to be a partner, going to uplift you, going to help you hold your hand? Or is that person going to run away and be like, I don't want to deal with this? And I think that's the most important. And I think people are dating and are forgetting that that's what you should be looking for. Someone who is in it with you during the not so great times. Because it's easy to be with someone when you guys are like happy and, you know, everything's going great in life. But it's very different when things are blowing up. And again, and I know people date for different reasons. You know, some people date to marry, some people date just to, you know, date, so they're not looking for marriage. But I feel like at least the most important thing is dating and knowing and finding someone who respects you as a person. No, not just because this person is my boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, but because who they are is just who they are. And for me, personally, I think it's really important that who you're dating is also like your best friend. They're like a best friend to you. I don't know. It's relationships are like a can of worms. Ugh, that visual. Let's not think about that. Let's not think about that. No, 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 no. Anyways, relationships are hard. They're complicated. Actually, no. Let me rewrite that. They're not hard. They're an effort. They're a conscious effort that you need to make. And any relationship, if you have like a friend, a best friend, it's a constant effort of like making sure, like not a constant. I make it sound like a relationship is like so much work, but it's a conscious effort, not a constant, a conscious. And it's just like any other relationship. I think that's why sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes men, because men, it saddens me that I'm seeing so much now online of like dudes like not having those friendships, of being like, it's become such a joke where it's like, oh, like, you know, so and so got divorced, and then the girlfriend's like, but like, why? Oh, I don't know, we didn't talk about it. Or like, so and so is getting married. Oh my god, when are they getting married? Oh, I don't know. It's like, that's your friend, that's your best friend. Like, communicate, talk. Like, so I think sometimes dudes also get in relationships that they're not healthy, they're not good, just because they finally found that like human connection that they've been looking for, because they don't have friends, they don't have community. And I think as a guy, it's so important for guys to genuinely talk to each other, like at a intimate level of like, hey, what's your favorite movie? Hey, what music do you like? Hey, what are you watching? Hey, how's it going with your like family? Like learning about the person. So when you learn about them and you start creating your own community and your own group of friends that support you, you start dating someone who compliments you, like as a person, not someone who, because sometimes that's why people end up dating really toxic people, because they're like, well, at least I have someone. And it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be like, that shouldn't be the standard of like, well, at least I have someone and I'm not alone. Again, always going back to the thing of like, you need to be your own person so you can exist without having to rely on another person. And I think that also applies to anything. Like, you need to be as confident as you can with our relationship. So like, feel beautiful without needing a partner telling you that you're beautiful. I don't know. It's very complicated out there. But that's my relationship advice. It was all over the place, honestly. Also, here's the thing. I think sometimes there's a really big discrepancy, or I guess I hate talking about like gender norms, because it's like we're trying to get away from that, but I think sometimes forget that even little things accumulate. So like, if you see, like, even if it's one individual flower, or like chocolates, or like whatever favorite candy the other person has, and you buy it and you're like, I thought about them, so I'm gonna buy this for them, it makes them happy. Why wouldn't you do that, you know? And I think sometimes people forget. Case in point, when my relationship was going down the drain, my ex bought me flowers. We were long distance. He sent me flowers. And here's where sometimes women also do this, but I'm just talking about personal experience, shoot themselves in the foot. because I was so ecstatic, so happy, like genuinely, like the happiest person that you could have seen. I was so excited because I got flowers. And he proceeds to say, I'm so sorry that I'm just now getting you flowers and why I haven't done it before. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. He's completely right. Why in 5 years I've never gotten flowers? Why is this the first time I'm getting flowers? Again, he shot himself in the foot because if he hadn't said anything, I probably would have been like, oh my god, this relationship is saved. So, again, like I said, a conscious effort of, and again, it's not like a lot of things because people sometimes hear people say like money's a big issue, but it's like you can write letters. It's a lost art. It's something that I wish people brought back, but you can write letters. You can buy a little like a chocolate or whatever. I don't know why it's chocolate. Chocolate's so like repetitive, but like any little candy. Like it's not all about big things of like, I don't know, huge expensive dinners or like an outfit or like, I don't know why I just said I was gonna say like a big expensive Pokemon card or something, but there is little details of like, I'm thinking of you. And I think that's why now we see a really like big divide between men and women. Again, I'm sorry to non-binary people. I'm really like outing you guys in this video, but ousting. Anyways, women, if you've seen, are very supportive of each other. They are very supportive. They support them in different facets of their life and events. Like, do you remember that TikTok? Can you tell I watch a lot of TikTok where this woman's doing a marathon and her best friend flew like 12 hours to come see her do a marathon? Like, talk about the level of support. And I think back then, and when I mean back then, I mean like 50, 40 years ago, women didn't have rights. I know, shocker. And they really had to get any man that was available to be able to afford food, afford head over their a roof over their head, and they had to have babies. Nowadays, women are far more